Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tracing, well, kind of a signal, a sound. It started way back in the basements of 1990s Brooklyn. And somehow it's crossed the Atlantic, sparking this incredibly focused, really independent hip-hop movement in Nigeria. We're talking about Lyricist Lounge Nigeria, LLN.
Yeah, we're really diving deep into LLN today. And, to get its power now, you absolutely have to look back at its roots, its legacy.
Right.
This wasn't just a random occurrence. It's a direct line from the original Lyricist Lounge, the one Anthony Marshall and Danny Castro started in New York back in '91.
Okay.
So our mission really is to unpack the specific steps, the agreements, the radio shows, the cipher rules that let this raw grassroots energy really plant itself in Nigeria and become this, unique cultural force.
Okay, let's get into that. So the original DNA, back in Brooklyn, it was like an incubator, right?
Exactly.
Place for raw MCs, DJs, poets to get on stage when, the mainstream wasn't really looking their way. It was all about the craft, not necessarily the cash.
Purely about the craft. That's the blueprint. And they were very intentional about exporting that specific blueprint.
So how did that happen formally? How did it cross the ocean?
Well, it wasn't casual. It was sealed, officially, with a Memorandum of Understanding, an MOU, that was signed in December 2019.
An MOU. Okay, that sounds serious, like a real business deal almost.
It was serious. It was basically a contract, but for, authenticity, to protect that original DNA we talked about.
So why bother with the formality? Couldn't someone in Nigeria just, start an underground rap night and call it something similar?
Well, sure, they could have. But that misses the whole point of the legacy, the intention behind it.
Right.
This partnership, the MOU, it was specifically between Anthony Marshall, one of the original co-founders, and Bionic Mba, the founder of Rap Radio Africa over in Nigeria.
Ah, okay. So the founder-to-founder connection was key.
Absolutely key. That signature wasn't just about getting a logo. It was a real commitment, a promise to uphold that original philosophy. Lyrics, skill first.
They weren't just copying, they were carrying the torch, basically.
That's a good way to put it, perpetuating a standard.
No. Okay, so let's focus on that figure on the African side, Bionic Mba. What was the problem he was trying to solve before this MOU? What was missing in Nigeria that made LLN feel necessary?
Right. Bionic Mba saw this crisis of visibility. Nigeria's music scene is massive, obviously. Global powerhouse.
Huge, yeah. Afrobeats everywhere.
Exactly. But the airways, dominated by Afrobeats, by pop. And Mba realized that these incredibly talented lyricists, the real mic technicians, they were just being ignored.
Overlooked.
Completely. They didn't have the support systems. And crucially, they weren't getting any radio love, as he put it. The kind you need to build a career purely on, bars.
And this is where it gets really interesting for me. He didn't wait for Lagos or the big commercial hubs. He started this way, way back in 2002. And he started in Enugu. Why there? That seems like a conscious choice.
Oh, absolutely deliberate. Starting Rap Radio Africa on Coal City FM in Enugu back then, that was a strategic masterstroke.
How so?
Because it anchored the whole thing outside Lagos. Lagos is the center, the media capital, the commercial engine. By starting regionally in Enugu, he carved out a space where lyrical hip-hop could actually breathe, could be nurtured, without that constant pressure to immediately sound like whatever pop trend was big in Lagos.
So building from the ground up, not top down from the industry center.
Exactly. It signals the whole grassroots philosophy right from the start.
Okay, so it starts local on FM radio in Enugu, but the vision was bigger, right? Pan-African. How did it grow from there?
Yeah, the ambition was always bigger. The big shift was digital. In 2016, Rap Radio Africa relaunched, but this time as a dedicated online radio station.
Yeah. Going online, that changes the reach completely.
Instantly. Suddenly it wasn't just Nigeria. It could spotlight hip-hop voices from all over the continent.
Yeah.
And they professionalized it too, developed specific shows.
Like what?
Well, there was the Rap Radio Africa show, which he co-hosted with Smith, and then the Bionic show, which was more like an interview podcast, digging deep with key figures in the scene.
What's really cool here is they didn't just stop at playing the music. They started talking about the culture, the industry itself, that talk show, Hip-Hop Chronicles.
Yeah, Bionic and Smith again. That was crucial because hip-hop, fundamentally, it's about dialogue, right? It's about questioning things. And Hip-Hop Chronicles became the platform for that. They started tackling the big structural issues holding the scene back.
Like what kind of issues?
Oh, all the tough stuff. Industry gatekeeping, who gets let in, the serious lack of proper infrastructure for independent artists. Things like creative ownership, intellectual property.
Stuff artists everywhere grapple with.
Absolutely. And that constant tension, that core conflict. How do you stay true to lyrical integrity when the pressure is always there to make something commercially successful?
So they weren't just playing songs, they were analyzing the whole ecosystem, trying to spark something.
Exactly. Spark change, encourage mentorship, build unity. The goal was to move beyond just being a radio station and become like a community resource for everyone involved, MCs, producers, DJs, the serious fans, building an independent musical economy, really.
Okay, let's shift to the live scene, because that feels like the most direct connection to that original Brooklyn energy. The Lyricist Lounge Nigeria live events. What are those like?
They're raw, uncompromising. It's a monthly hip-hop showcase, happens every last Thursday, and the mission is super clear, super focused.
Which is?
To shine a light only on new, underground, unsigned, and independent artists. This isn't where the established stars come to play. It's a launch pad. It's where you prove yourself.
And I heard they have strict rules. You mentioned real bars. What does that actually mean in practice at these events? Why is that rule so important to them?
It's the whole philosophy made real, right there on stage. The rule is dead simple. No auto-tune, no gimmicks, period.
Wow. Okay. That's a statement.
It's a massive statement. It's deliberately pushing back against all the heavily produced, often synthesized sounds that dominate pop globally, including a lot of the big hits coming out of Africa.
So they're demanding skill.
Technical skill, complex lyrics, storytelling ability. It's telling both the artist and the audience, respect the craft. That comes first. Always.
And it seems to be working, geographically at least. It started in Enugu, but these shows are pulling people from all over Nigeria now.
Yeah, definitely. They're drawing rappers from the big centers like Abuja and Lagos. That shows you this call for authenticity, for pure lyricism. It cuts across those regional lines.
Interesting.
You even get artists traveling down from Jos to perform. It's creating this connective tissue, linking these cities culturally. It proves LLN isn't just a brand they imported. It's become this genuine nationwide meeting point for real hip-hop heads.
So all this energy, the radio shows, the talk show, the live ciphers, the philosophy, it feels like it was all building towards something concrete, a musical statement. Which brings us to the album, Lyricist Lounge Nigeria Vol. 1. It dropped pretty recently, October 25, 2025. What's the big deal about this album?
This album, it's like the sonic proof of concept for the whole movement. It's saying, okay, we're here, we're organized, we're serious, and this is what we sound like.
And who's on it?
It features 19 hip-hop artists and 4 producers, all of them committed to that classic vibe, boom bap aesthetics, storytelling, dense lyrics.
And this is where the past meets the present, right? Because it features 2 absolute legends of Nigerian hip-hop, Mod 9 and Ferocious. What does having them on the album signal?
Oh, that's huge. It's a massive cosign.
Yeah.
Mod 9 and Firo. They are icons, known specifically for their technical skill, their dedication to lyricism above all else. So having them appear on this album alongside all this hungry new talent, it's like they're passing the torch. They're validating this LLN sound, this focus on craft, as the real path forward for Nigerian hip-hop.
So it turns the album from just a collection of tracks into something more, like a statement of lineage.
Exactly, a declaration of lineage. It captures that evolution, the grit, the humor, the resilience, the pride, but completely on its own terms, outside the usual commercial pressures.
How does this album fit into Bionic Mba's bigger Pan-African vision?
Well, it proves the model works. Remember, the goal was always bigger than Nigeria. It was about creating a platform where African lyricists get heard just because they're dope, not because they fit some trend.
Right, skill meets purpose.
Precisely. And the success of Vol. 1 shows that this approach, this focus on authenticity, it resonates. It builds an audience. And that really clears the path for potentially expanding this whole lyrical blueprint elsewhere in West Africa, maybe even further.
Okay, stepping back a bit. How does the rise of LLN fit into the wider picture? We're seeing this explosion of Afrobeats, Amapiano, Alte music taking over globally. Is LLN competing with that, or is it something totally different?
I'd say it's a different lane. Definitely. Yeah. But it's absolutely part of that same overall surge in African creativity reaching the world stage.
Okay.
What LLN provides is crucial depth. It's a philosophical counterweight, maybe. While Afrobeats is conquering the commercial charts, LLN is holding down the fort for lyrical foundations, for, you could say, cultural purity. You need both for a healthy, complex scene.
And that brings us to the diaspora connection. It's one thing to build this amazing scene locally, but connecting it to audiences abroad who appreciate this kind of depth, that seems vital.
Totally vital. And that's where platforms like, say, Lagos Jump Radio UK come into play. They act as that cultural bridge. They make sure that these different sounds, the underground gems from LLN alongside the big mainstream hits, are getting heard by diaspora communities. Specifically, they mentioned reaching audiences in the West Midlands and Warwickshire in the UK.
So folks in Birmingham or Coventry can connect in real time with what's happening artistically back in Nigeria.
Exactly. They're hearing the buzz from the LLN live shows, maybe hearing tracks from the Vol 1 album, at the same time as someone in Enugu or Lagos. It bypasses the old gatekeepers of distribution and taste.
And does that connection open up different kinds of support beyond just listening?
Yes, and that's critical. These diaspora platforms like Lagos Jump, they offer ways for local businesses or even just individual supporters over there to connect financially.
Like advertising or sponsorships.
Right. They have packages, supporter deals, shop ads, business spaces. It lets businesses connect with an audience that specifically values this authenticity, this lyrical side of things. It creates this loop where the money flowing back actually respects and supports the cultural roots of the music, connecting Birmingham to Benin City, as they put it.
Okay, so let's try and sum up this deep dive. We've basically followed this core hip-hop idea, this philosophy.
The focus on lyrics.
From its birthplace on a Brooklyn stage all the way to Nigeria, where it wasn't just copied, but intentionally rebuilt as this structured platform, demanding lyrical skill and providing support where, frankly, the mainstream wasn't offering it.
Yeah, the mission hasn't really changed, has it? It's still about building and protecting that community around lyricism, around the craft. The hip-hop scene in Africa is definitely growing, becoming more diverse, and LLN and Rap Radio Africa are making sure that the mic stays firmly in the hands of those who prioritize bars and storytelling. And crucially, they're doing it independently.
Fiercely independent. So that leaves us with a final thought, something for you, the listener, to chew on. Given that Lyricist Lounge Nigeria has built this whole vibrant movement by deliberately, rigidly avoiding commercial trends like auto-tune and gimmicks, what does that mean for the long run? What impact will this intense focus on lyrical authenticity have on the commercial future of African hip-hop? Could these artistic principles actually end up being the more sustainable, maybe even more profitable path in the long term? Or is this destined to remain a really powerful, incredibly important, but ultimately niche cultural force compared to the global pop sounds?
That's the big question, isn't it? Authenticity versus the market. It would be fascinating to watch.